Range script loaded, you can now press Escape, select Choose Slot and pick your aircraft. You have chosen to start the mission in the air. Please increase the propeller pitch lever up to cruise power. Use trim to level the aircraft and navigate on a heading of 187 degrees. Maintain 200 knots and descend gradually to arrive at the next waypoint at 2,000 feet altitude. Press spacebar once you have trimmed the aircraft. The Pucara can carry bombs on any and all of its 3 stations. The available bomb types are Mark 81 of 250 pounds general purpose bomb, Mark 82 of 500 pounds general purpose bomb, Mark 82 Snakeye. It's basically an Mark 82 with a retarding device, to allow its use on very low altitude bombing runs. For this training mission, we will practice low-level bombing delivery, using Mark 82 Snakeye bombs. Just this once, we will operate the Pucara in an overweight condition, in order to be able to carry 9 bombs. The fuel load has been reduced to 30%. We will use a weapons range that uses objects created by the 476th Virtual Fighter Group, and a weapons range script developed by the user Suribob, that will allow you to gauge your accuracy and monitor your progress. On this mission, you will have to drop your bombs onto the target circle located on the northern side of the range. You can perform up to 3 passes over the target, dropping 3 bombs on each pass, 1 from each station. The Snakeyes should be dropped from 1,000 feet and at a speed of 200 knots. You will have to judge the proper release time, as the sight is not helpful on this type of bombing. Perform the passes on a west to east general direction, so that the mission logic can keep track of them. You can access the attack statistics at any time, by calling up the F10 option of the communications menu. The procedure for using the bombs is as follows. 1. Master arm safety switch. Set to its right position, with a right click. A green light above it illuminates. 2. Sight power on. Right-click the INT switch to its up position, to activate the weapon sight. 3. Sight depression set. We don't have access to the bombing tables of the real aircraft, so you will have to practice a bit to find a value that goes well with your attack style. We suggest a value of 0, using a 30 to 40 degrees dive and a speed of 200 knots. 4. Weapon selector knob. Select the bomb's position. 5. Station select. Select which pylon stations you want to enable. For this mission, we will enable all 3 stations, such that on each bombing pass we will release 3 bombs, allowing you to perform 3 practice bombing runs. Remember to press of the flight stick's weapon release button just once for each bombing run, as each press will release 1 bomb from each selected station. We have reached waypoint 2. Turn left to enter the weapons range on a easterly heading. The bomb target circle is at the northern side of the range. pointed by a long arrow. Descend and align with this arrow. Be precise with your speed and altitude for the bombing run. 1,000 feet and 200 knots. Follow the arrow, its heading is 70 degrees. Be steady on your altitude and speed. Wait until the target circle just disappears under your nose, then press the stick's weapon release button a single time. It will drop 3 bombs, 1 from each station. First pass. Turn right 180 degrees towards the beginning of the range. Maintain a 2,000 feet altitude and 200 knots, to perform another pass. Maintain a constant 2,000 feet altitude and steady 200 knots, as it is the only way to get used to the release parameters needed for this type of bombing. Once you have the tail of the target arrow on your right, turn right to make another pass. Second pass. Same as before, turn right 180 degrees towards the beginning of the range. Maintain a 2,000 feet altitude and 200 knots, to perform another pass. Maintain a constant 2,000 feet altitude and steady 200 knots, as it is the only way to get used to the release parameters needed for this type of bombing. Once you have the tail of the target arrow on your right, turn right to make another pass. third pass. You should now be out of bombs, so return to our base on a heading of 045 degrees. The heading towards Rio Gallegos Air Base is approximately 045 degrees. Cruise at 5,000 feet, and at a speed of 200 knots, to have enough time to explain the weapons disarm procedure. You can check your range results by calling up the communications menu. Select F10, Other. Then select F2, Range. Finally, click F3, My Bombing Results. Deactivate the armament with this procedure. 1. Master arm safety switch. Set to its left position. The green light goes out. 2. Gun sight power. Set to off. Left-click the ANT switch to its down position, to deactivate the gun sight. 3. Weapon selector knob. Turn to the no position, where no weapon is selected. You have completed the low-level bombing practice at the range. Please select. Press spacebar if you want to continue and practice the navigation back to the base and land there. Press backspace if you prefer to end the mission now. Tune the VOR receiver to the Rio Gallegos VOR frequency of 116.7 MHz. Use the highlighted double concentric knob to select the frequency value. Next, enable the VOR navigation by setting the highlighted VOR switch to on. Good. Now on the RMI gauge, the double needle is active and pointing towards the VOR station of our destination airbase. The runway at our airbase has a heading of 255 degrees, so turn the highlighted knob using the mouse wheel until it is pointing at that heading. Be aware that the knob does not allow to turn from 0 to 359 degrees, so you have to turn the mouse wheel the other way around. Press spacebar once the single needle is pointing to 255 degrees. Keep your current heading of 045 degrees, until both needles of the RMI begin to superimpose each other, at which point you will turn left, towards the destination airbase. Unfortunately, the Pucara and DCS can't communicate with the TC, so you must use the F10 map to be aware of other air traffic that may be flying near Rio Gallegos. Press spacebar once you have checked the F10 map. The two needles on the RMI gauge should be starting to superimpose each other. Just before the needles merge, turn the aircraft left, towards the airbase, until both needles point to the top of the RMI, its 12 o'clock position. Good, now our aircraft is pointing towards the destination airbase. The course should be around 255 degrees. Perform a descent towards the airbase. Reduce speed, by pulling the propeller pitch lever back, to reduce power. As the speed reduces, you will need to retrim the aircraft. Activate the landing lights, with a right click on the highlighted switch. The Pucara doesn't have speed brakes, so once you reach less than 200 knots, extend the landing gear and its drag will help you reduce speed. At 140 knots, extend the flaps. This will further reduce speed. Retrim the aircraft to keep level attitude. The increased drag of the flaps will force you to add power with the propeller pitch lever. Try to keep a speed of 120 knots through the remainder of the descent. We are at finals now. Reduce speed to 115 knots and use pitch trim to keep the nose level. Just before touchdown, reduce the speed further, to 100 knots, and lift the nose a bit to touch down on the main gear and not the nose wheel. Touchdown. Use the rudder to keep the aircraft aligned with the runway. Wait until the nose wheel comes down, before applying wheel brakes. Press spacebar if you'd like to taxi to the ramp. Press backspace if you prefer to end the mission now. This is Street B. Proceed forward and then slightly left, to enter the airport ramp. You are now at the ramp. Park at any spot within the left side of the ramp, but park the aircraft with a U-turn, so that it ends up facing the airport terminal. Good, you have parked your aircraft. The aircraft shutdown is optional, please select. Press spacebar if you want to practice the shutdown procedure. Press backspace to end the training now. Congratulations, you have learned how to perform low-level bombing on the Pucara, practiced it at the range, and managed to return safely to base. You have successfully finished this mission. Press spacebar to exit the mission.